It is never okay to discipline your children out of anger or to harm, right? The point of discipline is correction and development. It is not harm.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't think the point of biblical parenting, I don't think, is whether you spank or not, right?
Yeah.
I think that two different people can come to two different conclusions and still really sincerely love the Lord.
There's multiple ways to skin a cat.
Right?
There's multiple ways to skin a cat.
So it's not like all Christian parents have to do it one way or the other.
No.
But I think the point is in discipline is, are we disciplining our children in love, in wisdom, in consistency, and in self-control? However you decide to do that.
That's right.
So if you're a mom and you're like, man, I really don't like spanking, I'm not okay with it, then you should lean into that and find a different discipline that works for you. But if your husband feels differently, as long as he's doing it lovingly and with wisdom and with self-control, then you need to respect that, okay, he came to a different conclusion than me because he has different experiences and different beliefs, different everything. And welcome back to another episode of the Married with Mujicas podcast. We are so excited that you're here. We are Richard and Haley Mujica. We have been married for 12 years, which this is the second to last time I will say that, because 13 years is coming up in 2 weeks.
Oh, man, that's true. Holy smokes.
To date, we have been married for 12 years. We have 4 children. We homeschool. We run a home-based business. We are very beginner learning how to homesteaders. And we are super passionate about marriage and love marriage and want to see marriages thrive. And that's why we started this whole thing.
That's exactly right. What's our slogan?
Our slogan here on this show is building a marriage you love coming home to.
That's right, girl.
Yes. So how are you, babe?
I am doing really good.
Yeah?
Until you told me today that you want to get donkeys.
I do. Oh my gosh. Okay. There's a house down the street from us that has
They are cute.
Miniature donkeys.
I will say that.
Their names are Bee and Betty. And they're so cute, and they're super sweet. Like, you can get out and pet them and stuff. But not only are they really cute, but they're actually really good for livestock protection.
Oh, of course.
They hate coyotes.
They're necessary.
They are
animals.
necessary.
Yeah.
So I was looking up on Craigslist some miniature donkeys that might be the next addition to the homestead because, and I have to address this, and I haven't even addressed this on my Instagram stories yet because I'm so sad.
Oh, shoot.
So we put the chickens in the coop last Thursday, right?
Yes.
They were doing great. They were so happy. We have an automatic coop door, right, that closes at sunset.
Second day on the job.
So Friday night, the coop door shuts. We were at a football game, so we didn't get home till super late, and the girls fell asleep in the car, so I'm carrying them inside. I didn't even think to go out and check the chickens. Well, apparently,
poor little chickens.
3 of them didn't make it back into the coop before the door shut, and a raccoon came, tore the wire off their little run area and got 2 of them. One of them survived. But so now we have 8 chickens.
She's terrified.
She was
scarred
terrified
for life.
She's okay now, but I couldn't get her out from under the coop for the whole day, and we're down to 8 instead of our 10.
Sad.
So that was really sad, but we're learning. We're learning.
We are
but
learning,
see, donkeys, we would have been okay if we would have had some donkeys.
If we had some donkeys, we would have been totally fine.
Yes.
Now, when we say this raccoon took them, like, he literally took them. Like, we can't.
Like, there were feathers, so I knew which ones he took.
Yeah, but like, they were not there anymore.
They were gone.
So he took them
there was no carcass to be found.
Yeah, we got to do some investigative work on that one.
I know. So we're reinforcing their run, and everything's going to be fine. We're just learning.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Beginner homesteaders. How you doing, girl?
I'm good.
How you doing, girl?
I am good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today we're official with the papers.
I know. So Rich and I, we're a married couple. This is just a perfect example. We're like, you have to figure out when you get married, okay, who does the laundry and who does this and whatever. And so as we've started this podcast together, we're having to figure out, like, okay, who does this and who does this. So we've figured it out that Richard kind of manages our carousels and all that kind of content and stuff on Instagram, and I'm in charge of
the podcast,
of the content, of the show notes, of all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So this is my little contribution to our little shindig here.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
So today's episode came from a viewer suggestion, and it was a message that I received, and she was saying, like, how do you parent biblically? Because obviously that's our main priority, right? How do you parent biblically when you guys have differing views, right? So the example she gave was that her husband wants to spank and she does not. So they have a differing view here. However, their goal and desire is to love and steward their children and to parent biblically. So how do they do that?
Ooh.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Very good.
And I thought that was such a good question. And we have Mother's Day this week. So it was just a perfect little, I'm wearing my coffee and kingdom work because that's what motherhood is. It's kingdom work.
That's right. That's
right. That's what we're talking about today.
Coffee and kingdom work. That's great. I didn't even notice your hat.
It's one of my favorite hats.
Okay, this is a good topic.
Yeah.
I like it. Yes, this is great.
It is good.
Yeah, this is going to be good.
Okay, so give me some examples of ways that we just naturally parent differently, you and I. What are some things that we parent differently on?
A lot, I would say. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say like just from a very parenting style standpoint, we have two very different styles. Mm-hmm. Haley is very much a believer with being direct. Let the kids know exactly what they need to know. No is no. Like there's no gray areas. This is wrong. This will not happen again. Mm-hmm. And I would say in a lot of ways, you communicate extremely clearly. Like it's just, that was wrong. Here's why. And you explain it. You give them, you kind of give them an analogy, a story. You coach them through the parenting scenario. Where I would say my style is not. I don't know if I would say opposite. However, mine's like a little bit more of a softer approach.
It's a lot more lighthearted.
Yeah, it's a lot more lighthearted. It's more gray area sometimes. I probably sometimes don't communicate as clearly as like that's completely wrong and here's like what we're going to do going forward. I would say I'm a little bit more lenient in terms of parenting. So yeah, that's my style. Your style is like kind of, so in a lot of ways we are a little bit opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, we've never in the entire marriage have had an issue parenting kids. In terms of like, do we argue about it? Do we have contention in the marriage behind it? There's never really been any of that. So we've been able to like figure out what that looks like.
Well, I think we respect our different ways. Yeah. Like I think that kids kind of need both. And typically, I mean, if you were looking at a typical situation, it's probably reversed, right? Where the mom is maybe a little softer and the dad's a little bit more firm.
Maybe.
But for us, it's flip-flopped. I'm the more firm one and you're the softer one.
Yes.
But I think we respect that, like, okay, both of these are necessary.
Yes.
And I think, at least for me, I'll speak for myself. I really do, like, I watch the way you parent our kids and I really admire it. And sometimes I think to myself, like, man, I wish I could be more like that. But like, it's so against my nature.
Yeah.
My nature is just very... Okay, so this might get me in trouble. I don't know. But I grew up listening to Dr. Dobson, right? Yeah. Focus on the Family.
Yeah.
And like, so before we had our kids, I was a nanny. And so I've read parenting books. I've been listening to parenting podcasts since I was 19 years old because I was raising children.
Yep.
And I just have always subscribed to this philosophy of like, hey, deliberate disrespect and disobedience is absolutely never okay. And it can never slide. And if you let things slide once, it's just confusing to children. And so I don't ever let things slide. But then there's some things where I'm like, man, I wish I could just like, because you're really good at like using humor to just like, okay, you didn't mean that. Like, we're going to get over it. And I can't do that. I'm like, I have to address everything.
Yeah.
And that's not always good. So I try to learn from you, but also honor my own belief. And like, I think what's really important to realize about parenting is that like, it's not just like a conscious decision. It's like a sum of like how you were brought up and what you're afraid of and what you're trying to provide for your children. And like, it's a sum of so many things.
There's so many different sums.
That,
yes,
you can respect different points of view and different ways of doing things, even if they're not just like you.
Oh, 100%. There's so many things behind the scenes, layers to why somebody parents the way they parent. And my experience was probably way different than your experience. So I'm bringing my experiences to the marriage. You're bringing your experiences to the marriage, and we're trying to figure it out together.
Yeah. Well, what's so funny is that like your experience was different from mine, but your experience was also very different from your sisters who grew up with the same parents in the same home.
Yeah.
It was still different. And my experience was very different from my own sister or from my brother. You know, like,
of course.
No person is going to experience the same situation the same way.
Yeah. There's a lot of nuances.
So you're never, even if you married your sibling, which of course is weird, but you're never going to parent exactly the same way as anybody.
Yeah.
Even though you have the same circumstances.
But I will say this. So, you know how you said, hey, I look at, how you parent and sometimes I wonder, or I wish that I could have some more of your qualities, but I've done the same on my regard. So in marriage, I would say certain people have better strengths than others. Mm-hmm. And a lot of our marriage, I think, is defined by those strengths. So it's like, hey, if my spouse is better at this than me naturally, I'm going to lean heavily more on my spouse for this because that's one of their natural strengths. And also when it comes to weaknesses, it's like, well, hey, maybe this spouse doesn't really want to control this area or have more say in this area because they're just not naturally as good at it. So I would say in the parenting realm, you are naturally stronger, and you also came from a background of nannying, and you were in the game taking care of kids very early on in life. You have a lot of experience even before getting into marriage, parenting and controlling kids and controlling chaos, that I would say that you are just naturally stronger at parenting, right? Like you have a way of communicating that gets, now if we define parenting as, parenting your kids as changing behavior. Like we all want our kids to have certain behaviors. And I would say your method is much more effective at getting behavior change.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, that's definitely true.
Yeah. So I witnessed that and I'm like, oh man, that's pretty good stuff. So then I've adopted, even though I'm not near as like good as you or like on your same level, I've adopted a lot of those same principles and I've tried to apply them the best I can. I'm not as good as you at it, but I think the point remains. You are stronger at it, so you have more of the control and reins in that area.
Yeah. Well, and like we talk about the bird's eye view a lot with things, but I think it's the absolute most important when it comes to parenting to take that bird's eye view and say, okay, it is not my job to make sure my kids have fun or to make sure they have everything they want or to make sure they're happy even necessarily.
Yeah.
My job from a bird's eye view is, am I making a person who is a good, kind person who gets to heaven one day, right? Like that is my job.
Yes.
And so every decision I make in parenting is geared toward that end. And if you have the end in mind, you can kind of reverse engineer. But if you're just like, oh, I just want everyone to have fun and be happy, and I want my kids to be happy with me all the time, and I want them to like me, that ain't your job.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. 100%.
And so I'm just really, really clear on what my goal is.
Yeah. And one thing I will say for the audience, this has been the biggest eye opener for me in terms of parenting and taking my biggest lesson from you. When Haley parents, she corrects, she says this is what was wrong, but like a good coach, you know, I see this all the time in like football practices, and I look at the kids' different coaches. And I'm like, okay, why is this guy such a good coach and this guy's such a bad coach? Because one coach will be like, hey, you didn't run the route right. Like it wasn't good. Your movements weren't that's fluid, right? Like that's one coach. Then the other coach will be like, hey, John, like, dude, the route you ran was wrong. Hey, come here. Let me tell you exactly how to correct it next time, right? So he doesn't make the same mistake. And I think that's what separates your parenting style is like you correct, but then you coach and you explain exactly what you are looking for and how they can correct it next time. So there's no guessing on our kid's side of like, what did my mom mean by that? Or what does she want me to do next time?
Yeah.
Like you're very clear in that. And I think that's my biggest takeaway is that you are so clear in the communication and you give metaphors and analogies and son, let me kind of like tell you like this and give them different angles where it's like, oh, that's what my mom means. Right. And I think a lot of times it's just communication.
Yeah. Well, that's why, like, if people ask me, like, to define my parenting style, it would be conversation-based parenting.
Yeah.
Like, I have so many conversations with my kids. It's just nonstop, you know, and that's the sum of it right
and
there.
Honestly, it seems exhausting, but you like, it's necessary. It's so necessary.
Yeah. Well, like you were talking the other day about like, you were talking about business stuff, but you were saying like when a man is in his like lane, his zone of genius, what's exhausting to other people is not exhausting to him. And that's how he kind of knows like what he's made for. And like you're saying, like, that's not exhausting to me. Like
that's very strange.
It's very natural to me.
So exhausting to me.
That's funny.
So exhausting to me. Yeah.
So let's see. What are some simple little kind of funny surface level disagreements that we have as parents? One that we've talked about a lot is technology and how much technology to allow. And of course, that's like, you know,
gaming,
video games. Yeah. That kind of stuff. Another one, this is a classic. I think every single family with children can relate to this one, but like bedtime, For me, I'm like, okay, it's time to relax. It's time to sit down. And for Richard, it's like, okay, it's time to wrestle and throw the ball. And you have to jump on the bed to try to catch it. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is bedtime, you know?
Yes. Yeah. And that just goes against our natures. Like, I'm gray. It's like you have a distinct bedtime. Like, this is when we go to bed. I'm like, there is no bedtime. It's like, we just got to feel it. It's got to feel right. Like, if it doesn't feel right now,
See,
like, why is there a bedtime?
And now you're getting a little bit deeper, but like,
Yeah.
that makes me nuts.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have a bedtime because then it's predictable and people know what to expect. Gray area, to me, like, we've talked about this before. I'm very black and white. You're very gray.
Yeah.
To me, gray is just confusing. Like, that's not
100%.
I don't like it.
And it's so confusing.
I don't like it.
It really is. And I get that. However, it's like, I'm a very intuitive person. Like, I learn sports not by mechanical shifts. Like, hey, put your arm over here.
Yeah, you're like armor.
I'm like, no, it's got to feel right. Like, if it doesn't feel right, I can't do it. And in business, I go off of feeling. Like, I'm like, okay, does this deal feel right? Like, what's the vibe I'm getting? And then I can get into the logic. But if it doesn't feel right, there's no logic that can even get me to go there. So because of that intuitive nature, and I'm an INF P, which is perceiving.
This is the Myers-Briggs personality profile.
Yeah, this is the Myers-Briggs personality profile. I'm an INF P, perceiving, and then you're an INFJ, which is judging. And that right there kind of describes
that's our big
differences.
difference. Yeah.
Haley's, and so it's one of these things that we've had to really work through. But I think we've done it actually very well.
Well, okay, so I wanted to give an example of one where I think we've kind of figured it out a little bit.
Yeah.
So sibling conflict.
Yeah.
Right. So we've got two boys that are 2 years apart. So they're very close in age. They share a bedroom. We homeschool. They're together all the time.
All the time.
And when my boys were little, I'm talking like 18 months and 3, that was when they kind of started engaging with each other and fighting. And I swear I spent 95% of my day just refereeing and breaking up fights and stressing out about how they were treating each other. Right. And finally, I mean, after a couple of years of this, you were like, babe, you have to step back and let them just figure it out. Like they're, and as a mom, you can watch your sons and you know when it's like, okay, this is fun. They're playing. Okay, now they're engaging and they're figuring it out. And now it's crossing a line and this is turning serious and I have to step in. So you have to kind of learn where that line is with your own kids.
Yeah.
But I scaled back probably 90% and I only have to step in 5% of the time now instead of 95% of my day was stepping in. Mm-hmm. And that was a huge revelation to me that you really helped me work through of like, babe, you don't need to intervene in everything. They're fighting over the Matchbox car. Like, let them figure it out. They'll figure it out. And they do. They really do.
Yeah.
And that was life-changing advice for me.
Well, what is that called? It's called like survival of the fittest or something, or
I don't think
whatever
so.
It is. It's just like animals, right? They figure it out.
They do.
They're like, this guy's the alpha, this guy's the beta, and they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Give me an example of one time that you like looked at a situation, looked at you and I were like, whoa, we were raised differently. Like, this is different. Give me an example.
Well, we were raised a lot, I would say in a lot of ways differently. An example?
Mm-hmm. I can think of one. I'll share it while you think.
Okay, yeah.
Food was a big one in that, like, I, honest to goodness, had never had McDonald's until I got into high school, and our high school used to bring in McDonald's cheeseburgers every Friday for like $1. And I was like, that was the first time I'd ever tasted a McDonald's cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And you grew up going to McDonald's all the time, right?
Yeah.
And so like, even as a parent now, it's like, you're like, oh, let's get McDonald's for breakfast, or not you won't eat it, but you'll get it for the kids or whatever. And I'm just kind of like, this is different.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even really know how to parent this way. This is different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that was one way but I was kind of like, food for me was like, maybe to the extreme, it was, it was for nourishment and you had to make good choices and like.
Oh yeah. There was none of that.
And your family, there was none of that. It was like, just get what tastes good, get whatever you want. And there was no direction in nourishment. And I think we've kind of figured out
because it had a different meaning. Our food for us was just about love
and enjoyment
and bringing the family together and having festivities.
And for my family, food. And whatever. Especially with my mom, because my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so I spent most of my time with my mom. And food was almost more so about discipline. It was like, how can we discipline ourselves here? How can we? What is that word I'm trying to think of?
What's the word?
Apply self-discipline to this situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
So very, very different.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of ways. I'm even thinking now, like gatherings, the way that, we did family festivities, how we thought about. So I think about this often. I came from a very open home. You came from a very closed home.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning, like in our home, we had people coming in and out all the time. There was like family members. I mean, we'd have family members live with us for 3 months. I would be with my cousins. Cousins would come in and out all the time. So people were always in and out of our home. And it was a very natural thing. And what I mean by your closed home, it was more so like, that wasn't necessarily the vibe in your house, right? It was like people were invited over. Like,
yes.
You don't come, you're invited. Like, we will tell you if it's cool if you come over.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, you just don't show up. You don't just come in the door. Where we didn't operate like that, right? It was just like, hey, everybody's welcome. Come over anytime. People come in and out. We throw parties.
Okay, so let me ask you a question about that, though. So say dad gets home from work.
Yeah.
And he's tired.
Yeah.
And he just wants to, like, hang out with his own family.
Yeah.
The cousins want to come over.
Yeah.
So does mom tell dad 2 bad cousins are coming, or does mom tell cousins, hey, sorry, not tonight?
Well, I don't think it was even a question of that, right? Like
like dad never had that thought?
Yeah, it was like, it was just a different mindset. It was
So
just like, yeah, those thoughts I don't think crossed my parents' mind. It was just like, oh no, this is like how we do life. Like this is our, you know what I mean?
That's interesting. Yeah, that's very different.
Yeah, it's just a different mindset. And so to this day, I would say our home is a combination of both.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say we're necessarily an open home. It's not like, hey, just come over. But we're not a closed home where it's like, hey, like, this is very selective times where people will come over. Like, I think we've gotten more open home as time has gone on. But me personally, it's like, I always think like, oh, I just want people over, like just let people come down. And I would say you're more reserved in that scenario. It's just, I mean, there's so many differences that we have.
Yeah. And I mean, I really like to have people over. I think the best kind of home is a full home, right?
Yeah.
But I do think just the courtesy of like, hey, check with me, make sure it's a good time before you stop over. I don't think that's inappropriate, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So next on our agenda here is your children were entrusted to you. And I think that that's a really, really important thought and concept to get across, especially to moms, because as a mom, you can sometimes feel like, oh my gosh, if I don't get this right, I'm going to just mess my kids up forever. I'm going to just, you know what I mean? So I think
you can be very harsh on yourself.
You can be very harsh on yourself, but I think there's 2 things that you have to remember is that you're going to leave gaps. You're human. You're going to be imperfect. There are going to be gaps, but God's grace is enough to fill them in. And so you have to just trust that as a mom, but then also you have to trust yourself and know that God in his sovereignty knew what he was doing. He could have given those children to anybody, and he gave them to you for a reason. And you are the right mom or the right parent or the right father for your children. And also, like, if we're talking about in a marriage context, right? If I disagree with my husband on a parenting concept, I also have to trust that, you know what, God gave my children to me, but he also gave them to my husband. And my husband has something that he can teach them, that he can offer them, that he's going to instill in them that I cannot do.
Yeah,
so even though we disagree on this thing, I'm going to let him do it his way, because that's going to enrich something in my children that I cannot do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that I particularly with our oldest, I really screwed that up when he was younger. And we've talked about that before. But like, there were times where like our son needed to be disciplined and he needed like his dad's masculine hand. But when dad would try to step in and discipline, I would come and defend him and be like, I would tell you to step back, you know? And as our son has gotten older, I've seen how like, man, I really, really dropped the ball on that. And I needed to step back and let dad do his thing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we've talked about how like, you know, I'm a lot more strict and you're a lot, but when dad needs to discipline, dad can, and dad does.
Yeah, for sure.
And I really stepped in the way of that.
Yeah.
And so I would implore other moms, like if you are kind of in that stage, or if you've got young children and you're kind of feeling that like, and it was such a strong, like biological pull. That's the only way I can explain it, to like step in and defend my child. But to like talk to yourself logically and remind yourself that you don't need to defend your child against their father. He loves them just as much as you do.
Yeah.
God gave him to him just as much as he gave him to you, and let him do his thing. And that was really hard for me.
Yeah. Now, the flip side of that, though, is I knew you were doing that. Now, did we ever really argue about it?
Not in front of him.
No, we never did. And in fact, I don't think we had any blowouts. There was no like,
No.
hey, this is not right. I don't feel.
But you would definitely tell me privately, like, babe, you need to stop doing that.
Yeah. And I would. However, you continue to do it.
I did.
And so, but we didn't argue about it. Because look, the way I interpreted it was like this. There's going to come a time where it'll make more sense to Haley.
Yeah.
Right. So I had to let time do its thing. And I wasn't going to like just bombard and be like, no, babe, like this, you got to stop it right now. Because now what's going to happen, right? Like we're going to be in this weird animosity place. There's going to be a lot of tension in the home. Like so I think there's ways to handle that as well that can kind of diffuse the situation.
And it definitely did get to that point where he was older and he was bigger and
it like time did its thing. And it was like,
Dad,
okay, I need to make it happen. By the way, it's so funny when it comes to the boys, what I've realized, there's periods of 3. And I don't know if this is a scientific thing or what, but in our household with our boys, and when I play the rhythm back, it's like every 3 years, I have to have this intense conversation with the boys where it's like, I'm making a statement that this will not happen again.
Okay.
And it's like, I've noticed that, it happened
That's interesting.
like at the 1-year-old stage with most of them, where I had like my first encounter with whatever it might be. And then that really helped because like once you do it one time, the
respect is
kind of the foundation's kind of laid. And then it was like 4 years old, and then it was like 7, 8, and then it's like now I feel like that's where Armor's getting.
Yes.
I feel like Armor is next. I don't know why.
He's about
like,
9.
Yeah, he's getting 9, and something in him is shifting a little bit.
Totally.
I sense a little thing, so it's like I have a feeling I'm going to have that encounter with Armor pretty soon.
Yeah, but what's been really interesting is like, so we have our older son, Riker, right?
Yeah.
And I remember him going through this stage that Armor's in right now, where he's just a little bit more difficult, a little bit more testy, a little bit more mouthy, And with Riker, it was like shocking. And I was like, who do you think you're talking to? And my discipline would come down really hard because I was like, this is unacceptable. And now as I'm like, okay, I've been through this before. I kind of know what to expect here. I know that they grow out of this. It's not as like heartbreaking to me as it was.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a little bit more prepared. I can roll with it a little bit better.
Why
does he hate me all of a sudden? Yeah.
For sure. But yes. And did you ask a question on that? Was there a question? No, there wasn't a question. Right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I don't think there was a question.
Okay, so because this particular question actually referenced spanking specifically.
Yeah.
Now, I don't really want to get into our personal views on that. I think that's very individual, and each parent has to come up with their own solution.
But I mean, everybody wants to know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we spank. But I mean, we can just leave it at that. We don't have to get into why or whatever. But,
well, I mean, I guess if you're going to throw it out there, then I guess we should, because there's definitely a correct way to do it and an inappropriate way to do it, right? And so even as parents, we are still called to discipline with self-control.
Yeah.
And so it is never okay to discipline your children out of anger or to harm, right? The point of discipline is correction and development. It is not harm.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't think the point of biblical parenting, I don't think, is whether you spank or not, right?
Yeah.
I think that two different people can come to two different conclusions and still really sincerely love the Lord.
There's multiple ways to skin a cat.
Right?
There's multiple ways to skin a cat.
So it's not like all Christian parents have to do it one way or the other.
No.
But I think the point is in discipline is, are we disciplining our children in love, in wisdom, in consistency, and in self-control? However you decide to do that.
That's right.
So if you're a mom and you're like, man, I really don't like spanking, I'm not okay with it, then you should lean into that and find a different discipline that works for you. But if your husband feels differently, as long as he's doing it lovingly and with wisdom and with self-control, then you need to respect that, okay, he came to a different conclusion than me because he has different experiences and different beliefs, different everything.
Yeah.
But our goal is the same, and we both love our children, and we both want the same things.
We want the same things. There's definitely a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, and and it doesn't matter what your method is. There's a wrong way to spank, and there's a better way. There's a wrong way to give a timeout, and there's a better way.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Locking your children in a dark room by themselves with the door locked where they can't get out can be abusive. Also, you can misuse anything.
You can misuse anything, and the tool's not really. I don't think the big thing. The big thing is how you use the tool, right? And so, for example, if I go in and I spank my daughter or my son, and I don't explain to them what happened, and hey, do you understand why I spanked you? And do you understand what the situation was? And does this, like, Am I just doing it out of like an anger and then it's just done with and we just move on? Or do I do it in a calm, controlled way and then explain to my daughter or son exactly why I did what I did? And I think that's two different ways of approaching the situation. And every time I will say this, that if you do it right, it should actually bring you stronger together.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like, oh, I don't like my dad or my mom.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, like my mom, my dad loved me.
Yeah. And
they'll feel it.
I always explain to my children that like God has given you to me to raise, not to be your friend. I'm not like this, oh, my daughter's my best friend person. I don't think that's cute.
Yeah.
Right. That's not what God gave me to you for. He gave me to me to raise and to discipline and to eventually get to him. Right. And so I will not thwart that responsibility by not disciplining you. This is something I have to do because God has called me to it. And that's just the end of that, you know?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Well, the lack of love is also the lack of discipline.
Yes.
I agree. I wholeheartedly
agree. And,
you
know people that, can't control their impulses and are they lack that self-control. And that's a hard life. I don't want that for my children, right? Self-control is so important.
Might be the Holy Grail.
It might be. And then one thing that I saw here is that unity is more important than uniformity with your spouse. So even if you don't do things exactly the same or see things exactly the same, and like, okay, so he says, whatever the punishment, spanking gets them to remember. Hopefully it's the intention, I believe. Yeah. So, and that's kind of the thought is like, there's obviously a discomfort attached to it, which helps you to remember it next time of like, because we naturally avoid discomfort. That's just what the human naturally does. And so they are on their own because we're never, even as adults, we are never outside of rules and authority, right? We still have to, now we have to succumb ourselves to God's authority, but we're never outside of authority. So the whole point of parenting and disciplining is to get your children to a point where they can succumb themselves. But until they've 100%. Reached that maturity, you have to get them there.
100%. Yeah. And
but I can't remember.
And here's the crazy thing, man. Like, in my opinion, like if I were to smack your arm right now, you'd be like, ouch. And then you'd probably get over it, right? But if I were to tell you, you're the worst thing in my life, that could destroy you.
Yeah.
And so I think there's something to be said about that. It's like, yeah, spanking, it will hurt, right? But words can hurt way more. And you say the wrong word and you give your kid the wrong identity at the wrong time, those words can go to last a lifetime. Like, what do you do when you go to like Tony Robbins seminars and then he gets somebody on stage? You know what they almost always do? They bring up a moment in their childhood where it's like, my dad called me this. My mom said this about me. It's like they remember the words. Like, and I think that's very important to understand is like when you're disciplining, it's that emotion that has to be controlled. And if the emotion is controlled, then your level of punishment and what you do to the kid to correct the behavior will also be controlled.
Yeah.
And so I don't think, anyways, I know it's not a battle between spanking or not spanking, but I'm just thinking like, dude, the words is what really can last a lifetime.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing to remember.
Yeah. And I don't know, we've talked before on this show about, how Satan has this plan to bring down the family, right? And he does it through homosexuality or the trans movement. He does it through the emasculinity of men and making men, he does it through women working too much. He does it through a lot of ways. But I think another way he did it was through this gentle parenting thing we have.
Oh, gentle parenting. Yeah, I remember that one.
Okay, maybe there's a way to do gentle parenting well. To be honest, I've never seen it. But maybe there is. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But to me, it's been Satan's way of getting the lack of discipline into children, which if they're not disciplined as children, they're not going to be disciplined as adults. And now his job's done. He doesn't have to do anything anymore because now they're just sort of free to their whim and whatever they want to do, whatever feels good, whatever sounds fun. And
that's right.
I don't think you're doing kids any favors with that.
Yeah, that's right.
But so like I got kind of derailed, but unity over uniformity. So you and your husband don't have to parent the same way, but you have to parent with the same goal, the same end vision, and your children have to know. I think when you have children, they can kind of come and like, oh, hey, mom, did you know that dad said this? Or did you, whatever. that's a recipe for disaster. And one thing that like I'm really, really, really intentional about is if our kids come and be like, Mom, tell Dad to do this, or Mom, make Dad do this. I will shut that down right away. I'll tell them, hey guys, I don't make Dad do anything. I don't tell Dad anything. I'm like, you can ask him, go ahead and ask him yourself, but I am not your dad's mother, and you're gonna have to figure that one out, because I don't ever want to put in my children's eyes this hierarchy that I'm above their dad. You know, like I don't do that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
So unity is more important than uniformity.
Yeah, 100%. And then also too, on the flip side with you, like, as you know, there's lines that you don't cross. And if you cross the line, they know the punishment is coming. Mm-hmm. And particularly with you, right? Like if the boys have found out quick that, hey, if I say X to Mom, or I do X to Mom, like,
Dad's coming with a hammer.
Dad's coming to
not a literal hammer.
Yeah, not a literal hammer. But it's so funny because now even the boys, like, sometimes they'll do something and they'll know it's wrong, and they'll start crying
before they're even punished, because they know.
They just know, like, oh no, I need to start crying and making an excuse of why somebody did something wrong to me or whatever.
Yeah.
And
it's usually our oldest. He'll like punch his brother, and then he'll start crying and be like, I know I'm in for it now.
Yeah. But why was I getting to this? I was thinking of I was going to bring it home here.
Unity, uniformity. I don't tell Dad to do something. I don't tell Dad what to do.
Well, so I think what I was getting to is one of the most, and I see this a lot with parents. Like when I think of bad parenting versus better parenting, it's inconsistent punishments. It's like, I don't know if I'm going to get punished for this.
Totally unfair.
Or if I'm not going to get punished for this. So it's like, sometimes I get away with it. Sometimes I don't get away with it. And I think that leads to a lot of confusion in the household. And
not only confusion, resentment.
And resentment.
Now your kid's going to resent you because
they don't know who's in charge.
Yeah.
They don't know who's in control. They don't know what to expect. And so to your point, it creates a lot of resentment. It creates a lot of like, I think they don't have a sense of calm and peace in their life, mm-hmm. because they're like, I'll see it. It's like, oh, they'll do something. And I've even seen this with parents. So like they'll look over, and sometimes a parent says something. Sometimes a parent doesn't say anything. So I think that consistency in those punishments of like, whatever the lines are, those are the lines. And it always gets the same level of and it's exhausting. I see you do it all the time.
Yeah.
And I can see why parents don't do it, because it's
a lot of work.
It's literally a ton of work, and it's exhausting. But man, I think that's created a lot of more peace in our household, because you're so consistent in it that the kids just know, like, they just start, the culture's set. Like, mm-hmm. I know what to expect.
Yeah.
So it's been very helpful.
This is our last little segment. I have a couple little quick questions, and then we'll close it up. So first question is, what is something that you have softened on as a parent?
I have softened on? Mm-hmm. Well, again, I'm more of the softie. I think maybe the better question is what I've gotten harder on.
Well, that's the next question. But what is something?
Softer on. Jeez. Well, I would say definitely bedtime. Yeah.
Just like as the kids have gotten older. As the kids
have gotten older, yeah. Mm-hmm. Definitely a lot softer, more lenient, more, I would say that's one of them.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I would say, at least with the boys, I've gotten softer on bedtime, because they don't need us to put them to bed anymore. It's like we, read to them, pray with them, whatever, and then we can leave and they're okay. The girls still need us to like stay with them till they're asleep. So I'm a little more firmer with them. Yeah. But I'm for sure softened on like sibling disagreements. We talked about that already, but like,
you're just tired of the
You're
nonsense.
going to be respectful to me, and you're going to be respectful to your dad. How you figured this out with your sibling, figure it out. What is something you've become more firm on?
I would say for sure, if I was left to my own devices, I think I would be a very inconsistent parent, like very inconsistent in my punishments. I would do it sometimes if I felt like it. If I was not feeling like it, it's like, dude, I don't really want to have, like, let's just not worry about that right now. You know what I'm saying?
I have to remind you all the time, babe, don't say that unless you're going to follow through. Like, you just laid down a big one. You better be willing to do it.
100%. I would say that's a big one for me that I've had to adopt, and I understand the importance of it. Mm-hmm. And you told me this early on in marriage. You're like, babes, your yeses have to be yeses and your noes have to be noes. And there's no in between there, mm-hmm. because you're just going to confuse the crap out of the kids. And I've seen confused kids, mm-hmm. and I know the damage it causes. So with that being said, I've gone a lot harder on that.
Yeah. And I'll also say, it just in our experience, kids actually gravitate to the more structure. like the kids in our lives that we know that have maybe a little bit more of a lax discipline structure actually want to be around us and with us. It's not like they hate us and they're like, oh no, let's not go there. They actually want to be there. The kids 100%. Like it.
Yeah, you're honestly, you're like the the dog whisperer. You're like the parent whisperer. I know you don't see it like that.
But
and I know you don't have like
love
Jedi magic tricks and all that.
No, I love children.
But you just get the game. Like if there's a game that you understand, it's how to get kids to feel like they're loved and make them more obedient. Somehow you do this thing. It seems like it's Jedi magic, but I've seen you do it. And it's crazy. And everybody will admit this that knows you. Like, oh my gosh, just get him in front of Haley. Like, Haley does something.
I don't know that that's true, but.
And you have this level of authority. Like, you carry this, even though you're so tiny. I don't know what it is. Like, you're tiny. You're obviously not the biggest person in the world. You have a very, but.
Well, it's so funny. Like, even my nieces and nephews
respect you. Like, they want to know that you are, like, Haley sees it.
Yeah.
And they want to know that, like, Haley's on my side. You know, like they want this from you. I don't know how you do this stuff, man.
I don't know. Well, I hear my nieces and nephews sometimes, and they're like, they'll be fighting. They're like, I'm going to go tell Auntie Haley. And the other one's like, okay, fine, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done. Don't tell Haley.
I'm like, I don't know what you think I'm going to do to you.
It is amazing. Okay. It is amazing. You got to maybe write a book on it. Because
I will never do that.
That
okay, what is something your spouse has taught you about parenting?
For sure. So many things.
I'll go first because you have just taught me that you can laugh off so much more, that you can just, humor can be in your arsenal too, and that's okay. It doesn't all have to be serious. Humor is also a good tool, and you've definitely taught me.
Do you want to know what I hope that you someday say?
What?
Is that gray does exist.
Ooh, I don't know if I'll ever say that.
If you ever say that, I've accomplished my mission.
You know what? Vice versa. If you say
black and white,
clarity is kind, I will die of happiness.
I don't know if I'll ever get to the black and white stage, but
what is one parenting mistake you've learned from?
A parenting mistake? Oh, geez. I mean, I've probably made a ton of parenting mistakes. Parenting mistakes. I think, I think it might even be a constant mistake, but I'm a big believer in using words to create identities in your kids. And I think, again, I've never really got to the point where I've really lost my cool or said stupid things and that I regret. I've been pretty conscious about that. However, I would say that I could do a better job. And I think this might be a reoccurring mistake of just really encouraging our kids, speaking into our kids, allowing them to adopt a very optimistic, abundant, I can do anything type of attitude, worldview, right? If I could leave my kids with anything, it's like leaving them with the thought that I am so I am, God gave me such great abilities in life that I can go on and use these abilities to do whatever I like that I want and according to God's will. And I will stay positive and I will encourage others. And there's nothing limiting my potential. If I could just leave my kids with that, there's nothing limiting my potential. Parents believe in me. I believe in myself. I know I'm capable of so much. That is what I want. And I don't know if I affirm that enough. And I think that's a reoccurring mistake.
Okay.
That I make.
Okay. I have one very specific mistake.
Yeah.
That it still hurts me to this day that I did this. But our boys did something. I can't even remember what they did now. Oh, yes, I did. They were sneaking the cell phone late at night and keep taking it to your room, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so that was absolutely not okay. And so that had to be disciplined, right? But we made them write sentences, and it was 100 sentences each or something. And we have one son who, that punishment sucks, but he can do it. And then we have another one who really, really struggles. I don't know if he has maybe some form of dyslexia or what, but writing and letters, and this is very, very hard for him. And so it wasn't just a punishment that was uncomfortable for him. It was a punishment that made him feel stupid. And I realized after the fact that man, that is not an effective punishment for this kid. This is actually damaging for him. And I still feel really, really, really bad that I did that. And so that was a big mistake that I've made as a parent. And then in general, a more general mistake is just anytime I feel like I haven't followed my intuition on things, I feel like I've regretted it.
Oh, interesting.
So specifically with things like technology, where I've kind of okay, Rich says this is okay. Maybe I really don't feel like it is, but I'm going to go with this because this is what Richard says. And every single time I've done that, I've regretted it, whether it be video games, whether it be access to cell phones, whether it be access to AI, any of it. The good just does not outweigh the bad for me. And I've kind of come to this conclusion of like, I have to follow my intuition on this one. And you respect that, I think, for the most part.
I do. Even though I think I have a different worldview on it.
We do have a different view.
But I do respect it.
But there's just been too many things that, like, you know, I've allowed that every single time it's been a mistake. So I've just.
Yeah.
And then this is our last little question, and you kind of answered it already, so you can maybe do it in a sentence or two. But what do you hope our kids feel in our home?
Feel in our home.
Like when they're sitting across from their spouse one day and they're telling them what it was like to be raised by us, what do you hope they say?
I hope they say that my parents loved me and they gave me every possible opportunity in life to be successful.
What does successful mean to you?
Well, it's not what it means to me. It's what it means to them. So, and I think I've had to learn that too as a parent. Like, I want so many things for my kids. Like, I want them to be an entrepreneur and they're going to go and build this thing. And I think about all these dreams I have for them. But I also have to take a step back and realize, no, it's not about my dreams. It's about their dreams.
Yeah.
And so successful to me is, success means so many different things to so many different people. I couldn't tell you. But what I want it to be like, it's like, no, they gave me an opportunity to be successful in what I want to be successful at. And so if they say, hey, they love me, and they say that, I think, yeah.
Well, for me, the like overarching word that is peace. Like, I just hope our kids leave our home feeling like it was just a place of peace, a place of refuge, a place of calm. I really hope that they sit across from their spouse one day and say, man, my parents set such a beautiful example of marriage for me. And my mom was so crazy about my dad that I just can't wait to be married. That would be a huge win for me. And if they just know like how much they were enjoyed and loved and adored and just desired, like even before they were here, like I've just been praying for them since I was a little girl. And I just hope I hope they know that.
Yeah. Maybe they'll, that's very strange. What's that one quote? It's like you're training the thing you love the most to live without you, or something like that.
Yes, that's parenthood in a nutshell.
Yeah, parenthood in a nutshell.
You're training the thing that you love the most how to not need you.
How to not need you.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know what? Would you agree with the statement? Like, we believe in something called, I was just thinking about this, like strength-based parenting.
Okay.
For the longest time, I used to look at my weaknesses. And it was like, you have to improve your weaknesses. You have to improve this, you have to improve that, you have to improve that. Yeah, and I never took a step back to say, like, what are my strengths in life? And I'll tell you what, I really noticed a big shift. Like, when I stopped focusing on all my weaknesses, because the reality is those are weaknesses that I was kind of born with and I can work on them, but they're never going to be a strength.
Right.
They'll just be better. But then I was like, oh, what are my strengths in life? And I was like, oh, wow, like God gave me this. God. And as soon as I doubled down on my strengths, my life took off. I was like, whoa, this is powerful, right? Like this framework of just going all in on your strengths is crazy good. And so like, I kind of think we do that in marriage. It's like, you have strengths, I have strengths, you have weaknesses, I have weaknesses. We kind of discount the weaknesses a little bit and just like, what are the strengths that we can go all in on?
Yeah, and go all in.
And just do that. Because when we've done that, I feel like that's maybe defines some of our marriage.
Yeah.
And it's worked out pretty well for us.
The only thing I think is you have to be careful with that to not use it as an excuse, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, taking out the trash is one of my weaknesses, so I'm not going to do that. It's like, well, you know what? Things also have to get done.
Yeah.
So like.
Yeah. Well, that's a stupid answer. I mean, there's no such thing
but I think
as,
people
like,
can use that to be stupid. But yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, I agree.
I love it.
All right. Well, we are all done here. I'm going to give a couple minutes for people who are live with us to maybe leave a question or comment if you want to. It says, you're raising the people you can't live without to one day live without you. Yeah, exactly. That's the quote.
You're raising the people you can't live without.
So go ahead and leave any questions if you guys have any while we sum this all up. You guys, you want to do the podcasty stuff? Because I always miss things.
Well, the podcasty stuff is this. The number one, first and foremost, if the best way you could support this podcast, guys, is by sharing the podcast. So if you could share it with a couple that you know, because odds are if you're getting value, you like it, somebody else will get value and like the podcast.
Yeah.
So that's first and foremost. And then, of course, we have marriage resources down below, whether you're listening to this on Spotify or podcast or YouTube. We have plenty of marriage resources for you that can help your marriage grow. So you can join the 7-day prayer challenge, guys. We've probably had, almost close to 20,000 people go through the prayer challenge.
20,000?
Yeah, it's probably 20 or 15 to 20, somewhere in that range.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, 15 to 20,000 people go through that. We've gotten a lot of great feedback, guys, so you can join the prayer challenge.
Thank you guys so much. Oh, actually, next week we're out of town for our anniversary. Are we going to record next week?
Yes, we are.
We are.
Yeah, because we come back on
Thursday.
Thursday.
So we'll
yeah.
see you guys next week.